ferait son retour de l'homme auquel j'appartienne. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, qu'il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il m'a dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, l'a juré pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat.
And now for Lovers of Brexit in English. I thought that love was just a word
they sang about in songs I heard. It took your kisses to reveal that I was wrong and love is real. Hold me close and hold me fast, this magic spell you cast, it is la vie en rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see la vie en rose. When you press me to your heart, I'm in a world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing up above. Everyday words seem to turn into love songs. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be la vie en
au théâtre du Rialto. Et je suis très content que vous soyez venus tellement nombreux.
Merci.
No, don't worry. It's not all going to be in French. Not the first half, anyway. That's mainly in English. The second half, that's the singing bit, so that might well be in French. But if you are worried at all, in the bar at the interval, find somebody from Hove. They speak French in Hove. They have to. There's one artisan bakery per head of population. Speaking French is a legal requirement of living in the BN3 postcode area. Are there any French speakers in this evening? Oh, are useful for a promise. Thank you. Any non-French speakers? Considerably more. Well, for the benefit of the non-French speakers, I was just saying, thank you all very much for coming to the Rialto Theatre this evening. It's lovely to see so many people, especially as I'm up against a Coronation Street serial killer. And Britain's Got Talent. And talking of talent, the lyrics to that opening number, La Vie en Rose, were first written onto a tablecloth in a cafe on the Champs-Élysées in May 1945. And they were written by this lady. Well, not that lady exactly, because she's 3.5 inches tall and made of marzipan. That was the cake top decoration for my 50th birthday. So you can tell how long my obsession of Piaf has been. But as you can see, Piaf is not alone. To whom does that little hand belong there? Ah, yes. Shirley Bassey and Barbara Streisand. Who knew? Now, that was a few years ago, so they don't look like that anymore. Shirley's boa is looking decidedly threadbare, and both Barbara's ears have dropped off. She looks more like Barry Manilow than ever before. But strangely, Piaf has remained remarkably intact, and so art imitates life. My 3.5-inch marzipan Edith has remained as resilient to adversity as a decorative confectionery figurine as she did in real life. He is looking at you, Edith. Yes. So, now, if we are to appreciate the life of Edith Piaf, I need to take you away from Brighton and Hove, or as the French say, Brighton et Hove actuellement. We're going to go off to Gay Paris. Most of us should fit in, I would have thought. And in fact, specifically, we're going to go to the boulevards of Pigalle, which is where Edith Piaf went from penniless street singer, on occasion reduced to prostitution, to become one of the highest paid entertainers in the world. If you substitute Pigalle for Port Slade, it's basically the story of every Brighton drag queen. Now, Piaf was born in Paris in December 1915, and her father was Louis Gassion. He was a contortionist and street acrobat. He was just under 5 feet tall and just short of 5.5 stone, which doesn't make him sound much of a catch. But he did father 19 children, so presumably he had something. Possibly not that. In the promotional material for his contortionist act, he described himself as the man who could sit on his own face. So maybe that was the big draw. Her mother, Annette Maillard, was a part-time nougat seller in a fun fair and a street singer who dreamt of making the big time. When she sang, she gave herself exotic stage names based on up-and-coming European holiday resorts. She called herself things like Dorothy Dover, Dolly Dieppe, Tessie Tunis, Sally Canty. Possibly not. But Edith, she was one of 19 children, and she was the only child of Louis Gassion who was actually born in wedlock. Now, he didn't marry for any romantic reason. He married to try and get him out of being called up to the First World War. It didn't work, and a few months after Edith was born, he was called up to fight in the front. And at the same time, her mother got a singing engagement in Turkey for 4 years. So the infant Edith was left in the care of her maternal grandmother, Aisha. Now, Aisha came over from Morocco and gave her occupation as a travelling flea circus's flea keeper. This is true. And her parenting skills were about as conventional as her job title. When preparing Edith's bottle, she did 1 part milk to 2 parts red wine. And when told that this would be bad for baby, she just forgot about the milk. She fed and washed Edith slightly less than she should have done, and judging by the number of fleas that were found on the infant Edith, as fleaky-was go, she wasn't the world's greatest. So when Louis came back on a home visit from the war, he decided that the young Edith would be better off staying with his mother because she had an 8-bedroom house in the country. Now that's not as promising as it sounds, because she managed a brothel. But at least Edith was well fed, she was washed occasionally, and les girls who worked in the brothel gave her a fair amount of love. And on the plus side, there was a piano, which she learned to play from the age of 3. She became a very quick study for songs, which she then sang in cafes in Normandy. And also, she learned how to knit, which became a lifelong passion. On the downside, by the time she was 6, she developed a taste for absinthe. She'd learned to smoke a pipe, and she'd pretty much seen everything anybody's ever done with a mouth. She developed an infection of the corneas age 6, which rendered her temporarily blind, which was perhaps a blessing given where she was living. But when her sight was returned and restored, the local priest decided it was time to leave the brothel. So Louis came and collected her, age 7. They went on the road together and they joined the circus. Louis was the contortionist, and Edith was branded as Miss Edith, the vocal phenomenon. So as Louis put down his mat on which he performed his acrobatics, Edith would belt out her Allons enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé, the French national anthem, which was well received by a patriotic audience. I'm not quite sure what they thought when the same 7-year-old sang Les Nuits de Chine, which was about illicit sexual encounters in an opium den. Probably like going to your local infant school nativity production, the Virgin Mary bursting out of the stable and singing, I'm horny, horny. So from one 7-year-old to another. Whatever happened to him, I wonder. Yeah, that's me, age 7. I knew nothing of opium dens. I knew nothing of absinthe. I didn't smoke a pipe. But I could knit. That's no surprise. And I did a cracking Shirley Bassey impersonation. But the most important thing that happened to me, age 7, was I heard Edith Piaf sing for the very first time. I was on the driveway in front of a 3-bedroom, semi-detached house in Stoke-on-Trent. And me and my dad were washing our dark green column shift Vauxhall Victor. We washed it at the same time every week so that we could have the car radio on and listen to Desert Island Discs. And on this particular occasion, a voice came on the radio which transfixed and mesmerized. I said to my dad, who's that? He said, oh, it's a French singer called Edith Piaf. She died a few years ago. That was one of her biggest hits. It's called My Lord. Well, preparing for the show, I had to learn more about this pivotal moment in my life. So I rang Desert Island Discs. And they spoke to Caitlin, the researcher. And she told me, despite the fact that Edith Piaf is the most popular non-classical solo artist in the 76-year history of the programme, there was only one celebrity who chose her singing My Lord in the 1970s. The programme was broadcast on the 28th of November 1971, and that celebrity was... Can this get any more camp?
Yes.
So, thank you, Desert Island Discs, thank you, Radio Forum, thank you, Joan Collins. It's given me 47 years of pleasure with Edith Piaf. And coincidentally, that's as long as Edith Piaf lived. So, while other boys were out playing football and watching cricket, I was sat at home by the record player learning the entire Edith Piaf repertoire. Whoever would have guessed I'd end up living in Brighton. And I didn't know at that time also that I would end up living in Paris. And talking of Paris, let's go back to 1929. We're 7 years down the line with Edith and her father. They've been touring the provinces. And Louis got a little bit older. He's less flexible. He can no longer sit on his own face. So it's up to Edith to earn the money. So if she's going to sing in the streets, she might as well sing in the streets of Paris, because that's where the money is. So now, I'd like you to invite you all to Pigalle in 1929. This is your audience participation moment. It's very easy. You have to say one word several times. The word is Pigalle. Pigalle. Beautifully done. But as we sing in a song, we pronounce each of the vowels. So we actually say Pigalle. Pigalle. So much better than last time. I'm just going to wet my whistle. Here's Edith.